How's it going, guys? So today I'm back with a requested video by a friend of mine that I've met recently online that actually is having a bit of trouble with prioritizing their work and really getting through the clutter to ideally, persevere and move forward with their niche website. So today I thought it would be best to feature a book that I have actually recently listed on the channel before as well, but I think it's a really important book to recover and bring back inside of this video. So the book is called The One Thing, as many of you, if I don't know if you can see that clearly. It was written by a guy, let's have a look, Gary Keller. No, it's not Gary Keller. Oh, it is Gary Keller. Okay, yeah, Gary Keller. And what this book's about is basically prioritizing your work and really establishing a routine and a time block to actually work on that one thing that you find most important to moving yourself forward. Now, what it is, whenever we're like talking about anything to do with, business or niche websites or whatever, you really need to identify what it is that your objective is. So, for example, let's take into consideration my friend who I'm speaking about, and obviously you will watch this video. You've basically said that, you want to do 150 pages. So that is your one most important task, like 150 pages. Now, when we look at in order of prioritization, what can happen from that? Well, number one, if you were to focus solely on just writing content with no backlinks, so forget about ever even making a backlink. If you were to just focus solely on targeting 150 posts on your site or pages or whatever, and you get that content out without, the content having any backlinks or anything like that, would you naturally get backlinks? And the answer to that question is yes, you probably would. Now, if we were to say that you only had a 10-page website and you built a whole ton of backlinks, would that bring you the same results? And the answer to that question is no, it wouldn't. So when it comes down to it, the real important thing and the number one most important thing that should be done every single day and executed on every single day is writing content. If you're not writing content, then you are not moving forward, and anything else is unimportant or unnecessary. And that's really in the order of prioritization. Now, the next thing behind that, because what it is, you might think, okay, so I've written content and what do I do now? Like what's the next most important thing? And that's a good question. So if you came down to that, the next thing in the order of priority is actually backlinks. So if you just had content and backlinks, you're going to have a successful business with your niche website, providing that obviously your research is done right and you're making this content on the back of good keywords. But so for example, your content and backlinks is the most important things. Yeah. But the content needs to be good. So now if we wanted to focus on exactly, how would you separate kind of, making your content really high quality from just it being basic and getting it out sort of thing, because it is important in the industry that we're in that the content is good at the same time. So if we're talking about getting out good content on a regular, consistent basis, then the first things that need to be done is it needs to be isolated in a time block. So what that means is every single time when you sit down at the computer, you need to be writing content unless you're doing research. So for example, that needs to be the first thing that gets done throughout the day in that sense. Okay, so it gets put to the forefront. If you've got, say, for example, some small tasks that need to get done, like, making, I don't know, adding some images to some content, or, adding some, I don't even know, like making something look nice with a nice chart, as you mentioned, or, like anything that's kind of, tweaks or advanced stuff, like the basics is what is going to take you like 80% of the way forward, and 20% will make up the little small tweaks and all that stuff. But the most important thing is having that base foundation. And what's the difference of really having a site that where you come and say to someone, I've got a 150-page site, and at that point someone's going to say, okay, whoa, this guy's kind of deep in the game. Immediately a direct result of that kind of content is traffic, and traffic, if you're monetizing right, is money. So by having a site that size, you're probably going to make some money, some good money. But having a small site that has the greatest charts, it probably isn't going to get you anything, you know. So it's really about establishing that and understanding that. So you prioritize your content. So for example, if we were working, just say, I'm going to take it, for example, if someone's working on this site part-time, so we can strictly keep that to keyword research. That's the way I have it. Like, you know, on the weekend, keyword research. That's it. And you do your keyword research for the following week or 2 weeks even. But you do your keyword research. You don't want to be sitting down at the computer wasting time when you could be writing content, doing research to try and find a keyword to write for. So just have that organized and set in a routine that is systemized. So you have that on the weekend. Then during the week, you're writing content. That is your main focus, is writing content during the week. Now, as you can see from my previous videos, when I'm writing content, I'm not focused on images, videos, none of that. I go and insert all of that after. If I've got an idea, like, you know, an insinuation about, for example, a video would go here, good here, or an image would go good here, I would basically put it in 2 brackets and put image of XYZ goes here. So it will remind me when I go after and transfer the content from Google Docs over to WordPress that I need to put the image of XYZ there, you know, or the video of XYZ there. Now, if you want to add charts and things like that, you can put that in brackets again and put chart goes here, whatever. Now, on a one day, you need to be at least spending, like, I would say, like, if you're targeting, you know, like a quick and easy answer post, then you might be spending like a quick, like, you know, hour and a half, 2 hours. And I don't know how fast, obviously, you guys write content, but if you are having trouble with that, then you can go watch my video on how to write a blog post. It's the main video on my channel, and it will show you how I do it fast, you know, how I get through it. But basically, so if you're pushing out a piece of content like that, then you might spend 2 hours on that, and then, you know, you might want to put like a quick half an hour into, you know, doing your charts and stuff after. Now, if I had, just say for example, 150 posts to tackle, if I had charts to do and all of, you know, other things, I would basically write the content for the first post. Then I would try and get that out. So I would basically, you know, after I've written it, I would not edit nothing while I'm writing it, just write it. Once it's done, I'll get it over to WordPress. Then I'll, you know, make the tweaks, edit the spelling and grammar with Grammarly, and then I would add the images and videos and whatever and hit publish, done. Next, I'd move on to the next article and start writing straight away. Now, if I had other things to do on that first post, the most important thing to me is that it's got on-page SEO, so that's all the internal links, external links, you know, the meta description, all of the keyword, you know, kindly inserted into the content. So everything there is enough for the post to rank. And then the biggest thing is, what you need to ask yourself is, your job and quality content means giving the user the best experience or the best answer to their query. So by actually having like a green box or something like that is not going to help them answer their query. Like, yes, that's easier for them to understand or establish what you're saying, or, you know, you could bullet point it, or it's a bit more easy on the eye. But ultimately, the most important thing is how well you answer that within the post itself as a whole. So obviously, whether you have that fancy stuff or not is not important. So that's about, you know, really something that I would say is unimportant or unnecessary. Yeah, so it gets put to the side. So the next thing is, I would note that down, because I've got a list of small tasks for that specific site. So you might keep it in a Google Notes or something like that, you know, notes on a Mac or Evernote, anything like that. And you just note it down and say, you know, okay, XYZ, I'm going to come back to that. And you add it to the list. So that needs to be done. But you can allocate time to those small tasks when you've got the time and you're prepared to sacrifice, you know, writing content for that. Okay, because every single time you do something with your business, you need to ask yourself the question, is this a step forward? Because if it isn't a step forward, then you're just kind of static or backwards, because there's no forward, there's no kind of middle. It's either forward or backwards. It's like, because time is ticking, you know. So literally, it's really important to just basically keep moving forward. And in this book, it highlights, you know, about how to get through clutter, achieve better results in less time, build momentum towards your goals. This is the other thing as well. So like when you get stuck with things like writing content, it can get really frustrating. Like when you're doing this other thing, then you come back to it and whatever, and you kind of feel stuck. You don't have no momentum. It's sporadic. So when you actually do one thing every single day, you build momentum. It's like going to the gym. If you go consistently every single day, you eventually start to build momentum in the gym and your results start to compound. So like what that means is if you're obviously getting a bit of traffic now, like, and you got 10 posts out, you get to 12, 14, 15, 20, 25. If all of them are just bringing like 30, 40 views a day, now you're talking like into the thousands of traffic, you know, as you're getting into like the 30 or 40, 50 posts. So it starts to compound in your favor. And what happens is you actually build a new habit. So because you're doing it and it's set, like, you know, me, I don't play around with it. When I come down and I sit down at the computer, first things first is I've got my keywords done, ready from the weekend. I'm writing content. Like that is the main thing. So I'm moving forward with that. Now, it gets to a point where you might need to section out backlinks. So it's really good to have like a timeline spreadsheet of kind of how an Excel spreadsheet of how you're actually gonna, you know, pan this out, like how you're gonna kind of, you know, section everything, because you're gonna need to get onto backlinks at one point. So for example, you know, I would get out like about, personally, this is the way I am doing it. I wrote about 30 posts first, 30 posts. After 30 posts, I built like 100 backlinks. Like not built, but I went out and basically done blog comments for about 100 backlinks. Things like social media, that gets done immediately. So like if you obviously have a site, when you first make the site, you want to ideally obviously, you know, start building social media. So you might write content, which is the most important thing, because if you've got no content, you've got no site, you know. So you need to get a bit of content out, maybe like, don't know, 2 or 3 posts, then go build some social media. Once you've done that, that's kind of done. If you can get hands off with that, get hands off, because you don't really want to be active on social media when you need to be writing content. And your main focus should be obviously SEO traffic if you're in the same sort of field that I'm in anyway. And then traffic can, you know, social media traffic can help that. But the main thing is get the content out, go build your social links, continue writing content, get up to 30 posts, build backlinks, spend like a week on backlinks, building backlinks. Now, the reason why you can spend a week, like why I believe you can do it in that way, is because all of the blog comments don't get accepted right away. So they get accepted sporadically over time. So over the next like course of 2-3 months, you'll see, that one's accepted, that one's accepted, that one, and it's all on odd days. So it looks very natural, like to Google. It doesn't look like, oh, you just spent like 1 week just blasting, you know, comments everywhere and whatever. So it literally, you know, because the author or admin of the site has to accept it at a certain point, has to accept it at a certain point, they accept it within their own time. It releases it, you know, on a very natural basis. So if you do like 100, you can, I would keep a Google Doc notes of all the ones that you've tried for, so you can go back and actually check if it's stuck. But if you use the Jetpack plugin, or I'm sure you can do it on Google Analytics as well, you'll be able to see exactly, obviously, all of those referring sites. And the Search Console also shows you that. But I'm not sure all the time it reflects it like very accurately, because it's a bit kind of late with the tracking sometimes. But definitely Jetpack, the plugin there, it shows you actively on the day when you get the link back. So yeah. And then this also has time blocks out. So what this is as well is, because it's important about how much energy you disperse into things. So you can put, you've only got like a certain amount of energy every day. Like just say, for example, your battery level charges to 10, yeah, or 100. Let's use 100 because we're all familiar with the metric. So 100% battery when you wake up, providing that you've eaten right, you've slept right, and whatever. So take away your eat and sleep and all that stuff. You're probably running on like 85%, you know, 90% of energy. So then you got to get that energy in and focus it into a task. Now, if you were to allocate the energy into something that's irrelevant, just say, for example, like, you know, pictures and charts and whatever, the energy has not been used correctly and it hasn't moved you a step forward to achieving the objective. So you kind of wasted energy. And then by the time it comes to writing your content, you are out of energy. You're running on like 30 or 40%, you know, and by then you're too tired for a difficult, big kind of, you know, huge mogul of, or monumental task like writing content, which is the most monumental task you can do on a website. So by the time you come to attack that, you're out of energy, you know, it's mentally draining, fatigued, all of that. So what you can do is tackle it first thing. That should be the first thing. And the only way you can do that is by isolating everything that needs to be done before you write the content. So that means you need to have your research done. By the time you sit on that computer, it needs to be get in the mode of writing content. And then you just get into that mode and start doing that. Now, again, if you're finding it hard to get through the content, then there's a video on my channel about that, because I tend to do the headlines first, the subheadings, and then I just fill in the blanks. So it makes it a lot easier. Now, once you get into that rhythm, you start getting momentum, and you really need to have like time blocks set out for the way that you work. You need to have a rest period as well, because you only get out what you can put in. So there needs to be a week or whatever that you take out and section everything, you know, throughout the year that you take out to give back to yourself and relax and, you know, take some time to reflect on what it is that you've been doing. Now, the way you can master this is by each week that you actually, you know, set yourself the task to really get out content. I would basically do a reflection and see if you have hit the target every week. If you haven't hit the target, then focus on the faults that you had, of the reasons why you haven't. What is it that you did wrong that you could improve on the following week? So eventually you're almost like optimizing for perfection in that sense. You're trying to optimize to the point of where you're streamlining and you really got that momentum and you're just kind of flying through what you need to do. But definitely, so like I said, after 30 pages, I'll focus on some backlinks. Then I'll go up to like 50 or something like that. And then I'll hit some backlinks again. Like I'll start getting those blog comments in again. And then, you know, more time, if you get up to the target, like, or you think, oh, you know what, I'm on track, whatever, and you've got the content done for the day, go do all the other stuff. Go back to the small list. Oh, I've got to go do some links. I've got to do this chart. I've got to do that, and go and make it all fancy. But that's why, like, you know, when people ask me, how do you get out so much content? It's just because I just do one thing. I literally just focus on writing content. So because I do that every day is a step forward, you know. So people can ask me, oh, you know, how well do things look? Well, the site looks good because I'm using a good theme. So although it's not like, you know, the craziest whatever, my focus is on giving them the best answer to what it is they're searching for, and really and truly building more of that, you know. So that is what is ultimately going to bring me the traffic. But like I said, if you are, you know, on the fence about how to really do this type of thing, or anything that I said, if you didn't understand, then really and truly, I would say you really need to read this book. And talking about it, I need to reread it. That's how important this book is. It's a really, really good book, and it just really helps you with just focusing on one thing. And this is the most important thing, you know, to really moving forward with business and life, you know. Like it's about identifying what is the thing that is most important to getting me to the thing I'm trying to achieve. And that's your objective. Like, what is it that moves you forward to that objective? Because if it's not something that's doing that, then it's unimportant or irrelevant. And I've actually got this, look, I've got the camera with me, but it's stuck on the wall up there. I don't know if you can see it, but up there on the wall, let's see if you can zoom into that. You see? So like up there, yeah, you can't really see it, but it's actually got, oh, let's have a look, let's put that back. It's actually got that all on there. I've got, today, this is what I've got on my wall. Today, what is my one thing that I can do to establish my one thing, that by doing that one thing, everything else will become easier or unimportant, okay? So that is the actual quote. So it's like, what can you do today that everything else becomes easier or unimportant? So it's either that it's kind of easy to do if you focus on this one thing, or it just becomes irrelevant, you know. And that's the content part for me. Like, you know, definitely, if you write content, everything else becomes easy or unimportant. And, you know, people obviously say that you need backlinks, which is very important. Like, don't get me wrong, you absolutely do. But you will start to get backlinks easier if you focus on writing content. You won't get content easier if you focus on doing backlinks, you see? So that's your answer. I hope this helps anyway, and hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like. And if you're new, make sure to leave a subscribe. Make sure to subscribe.